Hey, what's up YouTube? What's going on? In today's new video, what I wanted to share with you guys are two new resources that I recently just got a hold of and I'm actually really excited to go through. But also in this video, what I wanted to talk about is something related to the sports world that recently just happened, and it's regarding a high-profile athlete who currently just underwent surgery for repairing a herniated disc. And so firstly, I'll talk about the two new resources that I got a hold of, and then I'll talk about this high-profile athlete towards the end of the video and just kind of share my thoughts and opinions with regards to that. So firstly, the kind of new book that I actually just got in the mail yesterday is Gift of Injury. And Gift of Injury is Dr. Stuart McGill and Brian Carroll's new book. And the book is primarily based for individuals who are strength athletes and have maybe lower back problems or lower back pain and are looking to kind of get back to their sport. And so in this book, how it's basically made up is Brian kind of shares his story and explains kind of his training methods and his programs, and Dr. Stuart McGill kind of touches on different points throughout the book. So to break things down, Brian is someone that I can specifically relate to, and many of my subscribers I know can relate to as well. And he's essentially a very accomplished power lifter. And he actually ended up kind of splitting his sacrum and suffering several fractures in his lower back, specifically with regards to the end plates, and having a lot of issues in his lower back. And it came to the point where he was kind of left in limbo, and he met with many kind of surgeons, different doctors, and just couldn't get the right treatment, couldn't get the right kind of program, wasn't sure what to do, was recommended spinal fusion surgery by two different surgeons. And he actually at one point contemplated taking his life by just kind of shooting himself. However, he had actually gotten in touch with Dr. McGill via a recommendation. He ended up working with McGill, and then McGill ended up basically getting him back to a pain-free life, and then ultimately got him back to powerlifting and got him back to kind of getting his career back on track and getting back into that kind of whole sport. And he was able to kind of return. And now if you actually follow Brian Carroll, you could see all the kind of crazy things he's doing, which is pretty incredible, especially after the serious lower back injury that he suffered. So in this book, it kind of talks about his whole journey, and it talks about kind of what he went through and how he was feeling. And Dr. Stuart McGill kind of shares his experiences with working with Brian and what it was like, and kind of what they went through in terms of a rehab approach. And you can also see on YouTube, there are some YouTube videos regarding Dr. McGill actually working with Brian himself that you guys can check out. If you just search kind of Dr. McGill and Brian Carroll on YouTube, you can kind of pull those up. So overall though, I'm not actually giving a review for this book because I haven't read the full book. I've only read roughly the first chapter and a few other pages as well that I've skimmed through. But very excited, and I'll kind of share my thoughts kind of later on in a later video with regards to the book overall. But I'm very excited that this came in, and so far from what I've read kind of from the first chapter, you know, just kind of hearing Brian's story, I could specifically relate, and I know a lot of my subscribers, people who are watching this can relate as well, because I just remember when kind of having a herniated disc and having that significant pain. I remember one time contemplating kind of taking my life as well when I was driving to school one day, just thinking about kind of getting into a car accident, because I was in so much pain and I just wanted to end it all. But anyways, fascinating to read, and if you guys are interested, go and check out Brian Carroll. If you want to get a hold of this book and kind of see what it's all about and hear his story. The book is called Gift of Injury, and I'll kind of give more details about it as when I finish reading it in a future video. Anyways, second resource that I got is I purchased the High Performance Handbook by Eric Cressy. For those of you guys that don't know Eric Cressy, he's probably one of the most popular and well-known strength coaches out there right now. And so he had his High Performance Handbook on sale over the weekend. It was about $50 off, I believe, so I ended up just purchasing it. And it's actually a really good resource. I was very impressed with a lot of the exercise, I was very impressed with his exercise database that he has and how big it is. And it was very interesting just to kind of see all his coaching cues and how he cues a lot of different exercises, because I think that's the most valuable piece of information that one can take away from that product. while yes, it does come with programs, and it's more geared towards someone that's looking to just kind of get on a well-established, kind of semi-individualized program. It's more geared towards just kind of your normal everyday athlete or someone that may be looking to get involved in strength and conditioning. But kind of the most valuable thing, like I said, is the exercise video database, just to see Eric teach and cue over 200 different exercises that he uses with regards to his program, but also to see how Eric Cressy kind of establishes his program. So like I said, guys, if you don't know who Eric is, he's one of the top strength coaches in the world, in my opinion, but most specifically, he's the top guy for baseball. That is his niche, and that's where his expertise kind of revolves around. So I highly recommend going to check him out if you guys haven't heard of him or seen him. A lot of good information he puts out. He's a very valuable resource in my opinion. And lastly, just wanted to talk about a high-profile athlete in the NHL who actually just went under herniated disc surgery, which he had a microdiscectomy performed on him. So for those of you guys who don't know, Zach Parise of the Minnesota Wild, he is someone who's dealt with a herniated disc for a couple of years now, and he's been in significant pain on and off. So I believe it was in the 2015-2016 season where he suffered a herniated disc, he had pain going down his leg, and basically he was out for the season. So after the season was over, he kind of returned back to the 2016-2017 season. Didn't have surgery or anything, but he just went through all conservative treatment, was able to return, and I believe he played the full season. Don't know if he had any back issues during the season, but for him to play during that season, it seemed like the pain was controlled or at least calmed down. More recently, it seemed that he had a flare-up again, and he was trying to avoid surgery, but he ended up just kind of deciding on it, ended up having a microdiscectomy, and is now microdiscectomy for his herniated disc, and is now out about 8 to 10 weeks. So the reason why I wanted to kind of talk about this is just because I want to kind of follow along and see how Zach's kind of career or how things move forward for him after his surgery. Because he's a high-profile athlete in the sport of hockey. A herniated disc is a fairly common injury in my opinion. I was specifically a hockey player as well, and I suffered a herniated disc. It wasn't specifically from hockey, but with the combination of being kind of a left-handed shooter, but also, performing weightlifting with poor form in the gym, performing heavy deadlifts with poor form. And also, if we look to hockey, you can also consider just the poor posture you see with a lot of players bending over to tie their skates, or on the bench when they're tired, they're always bent over with a flexed spine while sitting. But also, you can also consider these individuals oftentimes perform morning skates, where we know in the morning our discs are a lot more susceptible to stress, so when they're bending over, they're flexing their spine to tie their skates, or whatever it is when they're bending over, maybe when they're shooting, whatever, kind of engaging in that flexion position. They could be causing a lot of stress to the spinal disc, and over time, that's why these athletes, specifically hockey players, may be more susceptible to this type of injury. So anyways, point being, Zach had this injury. I'm a big fan of Zach. I really like Zach. He's a phenomenal hockey player. But I've kind of always, when I first heard about his injury a couple of years ago, I was very interested just to see how things would go. And now it's at the point where he just ended up having surgery. Now I would just kind of like to see how his career kind of goes from here. I hope everything works out for him, and I hope he can kind of return back to his full playing form without pain. But we'll kind of see how this goes, because the microdiscectomy, while they may remove a bit of part of the herniated disc and may address the symptoms, if he doesn't, or the mechanism that caused the injury to begin with isn't exactly removed or isn't managed properly, it could come back, and the symptoms could potentially come back, which is something I just would like to see, just see how things go. Anyways, just wanted to share that, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, guys. Now, if you're someone that maybe has purchased or has got a hold of Gift of Injury, or maybe you have the High Performance Handbook, or maybe you're a big fan of Zach Parise and you've heard about this situation as well, and you're interested in it, I'd love to hear your thoughts, guys, and your opinions with regards to this. And that's it for this video, and I wish you guys all the best and a successful and productive day. Take care.